What are the Conservative ideas at the moment? We had the Damien Green Centre for Policy Studies paper. How much of that has informed what we'll see in the manifesto?
So we've had so many really, really good reports that have come out from all different directions in recent years. We've had reports that were commissioned by the government, the Baker report, the Deal-Not report. We've had Damien Green's report, which was really interesting. We had the Joint Select Committee report that Dr. Sarah Wollaston was part of. And, it's all being taken into consideration. But what we're not doing at this general election is setting out great plans in great detail, because it's too important for this to be ripped apart and used as a political football, as we've seen in past general elections. So what we're saying is this. We're saying, first of all, we know that local authorities are really at tipping point in terms of funding things that they're already doing, which is why we already gave access to £2.5 billion
let me press
to local authorities.
I know, but let me press pause on that. We know that's in large part because of austerity.
Initially, yes. That local authorities took cuts to their budgets across the board, as everybody did. Private companies,
heavy cuts, though. It's been felt, and you know that you also, if I may, just to paint the picture, because I know you'll want to put forward the positives, and that's what I've invited you on to do. But we need to be clear about the picture. The picture is that those austerity-driven local authority cuts have cut local authorities, local council spending to the bone, and in the care sector, it has meant many home care companies and care companies more generally go out of business because local authorities were offering such a low fee. They weren't able to sustain a business. So if the Conservatives are still going to have a private sector-led model on delivering care, that has to be very explicitly addressed, doesn't it? Because you can't have a private sector delivering the care if the companies in that sector are falling to bits.
Okay, so we've got more companies providing domiciliary care than ever before. We've got thousands and thousands of companies providing care for people in their own homes than ever before, so that's not strictly true. And actually, the amount of money we've been putting into this in recent years is massive. Over £10 billion over this 3-year period we've given councils access to, which gives you an indication. Think about that sum of money. It gives you an indication of the scale of the challenge that we're facing, which is why we've got to do it properly. So we've already put in an additional given councils an access to an additional £2.5 billion this year, but we're saying that we're going to put in an additional £1 billion for every year of the next 5-year term Parliament. Fingers crossed that there is one.
You're going to what? Sorry, say that again.
£1 billion per year for the next 5 years. That's to stabilise local authorities, to make sure that they're able to continue providing care for local people.
And that's to get explicitly for social care.
That's for social care. Then in addition to that, we need to look at the long term. So the £1 billion a year is to stabilise the system. And then we need, Boris Johnson said very clearly on the steps of Downing Street on his very first day that his plan is that no one should have to sell their home to pay for their care in the long term. And that is what we're working towards. But in order to do that, we have to build a consensus. And it's the only way, Sheila, because, it's what we have for the NHS. We never have any debate about the future of the NHS and how it must be sustainable, because we all agree with that. It's a completely cross-party consensus, and we need to build something similar for social care so that it can no longer be used as this terrible political football that we've had in the past with words like dementia tax and death tax.
You seem to be, I would agree with that. You seem to be indicating to me that whilst you have a new funding plan for the next 5 years, via local authorities, that you haven't, unless this comes out in the manifesto next week, that you haven't got a newly designed social care plan to take us into the future. Is that right?
Well, we've got lots of thoughts on it, but
we've had thoughts for decades, Caroline Dinenage.
Yes, I know.
That was our starting point.
Please let me explain, because this is really, really important. What we've said is that as soon as the election is concluded, we want to sit down with political parties across the board, taking all these plans, all these very interesting plans that have come forward from all different directions over recent years, and to really build a consensus as we have with the NHS on the way forward.
That sounds good. Let me stop you there. What time is it? It's 3:10. What date is it? I should know the date. It's 3:10 on the 22nd of November 2019. Will you absolutely vow that cross-party work will take place. It's 3:10. It's the 22nd of November 2019. We can check on this next year. Will you?
Yes, of course. I mean, it's going to be...
You haven't in the past. Theresa May refused. Sarah Wollaston just told me. Theresa May refused.
It's one of the three key parts that's one of the three key things that we're committing to on social care. One is the extra £1 billion a year. One is that the solution we want to move forward to is that no one will have to sell their home to pay for their care. But to achieve it, we need the cross-party consensus that we have around the NHS that means that this very, very important issue that is so crucial to the lives of so many can no longer be used as a cheap political football.